A man is stabbed several times and rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but he ends up being the one who's charged with the crime. The man who stabbed him walks free. How is that possible? How can you potentially use deadly force against someone and not only avoid being arrested, but be seen as the victim? The answer comes down to one of the most important and misunderstood concepts in criminal law: reasonableness. Today, we're breaking down a real Indiana case involving a former professional quarterback to show you exactly where the line for self-defense is drawn. Understanding this could be the difference between a prison cell and your freedom. Let's set up the scene where Marc Sanchez was stabbed. Let's go to a loading dock alley behind the Westin Hotel in downtown Indianapolis. It's just after midnight. A 69-year-old truck driver, we'll call him PT, is doing his job, recycling used cooking oil. He's got his hearing aids out because the truck is incredibly loud. Suddenly, a man he's never seen before, 38-year-old Marc Sanchez, approaches his truck. According to the police report, Sanchez opens the driver's side door of the truck uninvited. PT says he smells of alcohol and his speech is slurred. Sanchez tells PT he's not supposed to be there. Now, PT is just doing his job. He's confused. He thinks Sanchez might be a manager, but things get weird fast. Sanchez climbs into the cab of the truck. PT tells him to get out. Sanchez gets out, but keeps repeating that PT has to leave. This is the first critical moment. Sanchez isn't just talking, he's now trespassing and acting erratically. Now let's talk about the escalation and PT's attempts to retreat. PT knows he has a problem. He tries to get his phone to call his manager. Sanchez blocks him. So PT does something smart. You don't have to do this in Indiana, but it's smart in this case. He retreats. PT walks across the alley towards the Marriott security to try to get some help. But Sanchez won't stop. He apparently follows PT, and every time PT tries to get back in his truck, passenger side, driver side, Sanchez is there blocking him, getting more and more aggressive. Finally, Sanchez shoves PT. PT is 69 years old. He realizes he's in physical danger. He pulls out pepper spray and sprays Sanchez in the face. For a second, it seems to work, but Sanchez apparently just wipes away the pepper spray and comes at PT again. In his statement to police, PT said he thought Sanchez is going to try to kill me. He was cornered, so PT pulled out a knife. This is where the law gets very specific. PT did not start with a knife. He did not. He escalated to deadly force only after verbal commands failed, attempting to retreat failed, and using less lethal force all failed. This truly is like a progression of force on PT's part. Now let's jump into the fight and the aftermath. The two men fight. Sanchez, 38 years old, former quarterback, larger, throws PT against a dumpster and onto the ground. PT tells police he thought it was a life or death situation. He strikes Sanchez 2 or 3 times with a knife. Suddenly, Sanchez stops, looks shocked, and runs down the alley. PT is left with a cut on his face, and Sanchez is found nearby with multiple stab wounds. The legal analysis: why Sanchez was charged. So Marc Sanchez ends up being charged with battery, unauthorized entry of motor vehicle, and public intoxication. But why is he charged? He's the one in critical condition. He's the one that got stabbed. The reason why is because every piece of evidence I've seen so far suggests that PT acted with reasonable force to protect himself. Indiana law says that you are justified in using reasonable force to protect yourself against another person when you believe that person is about to use imminent, unlawful use of force. Now, reasonableness is not a static line. It's a sliding scale, and every fact in this case pushes that scale in PT's favor. Factor 1, the disparity. You have a 69-year-old man who's hard of hearing versus a 38-year-old man. The force a 69-year-old can reasonably use is much greater than what another 38-year-old could do. And that's going to be true if it was a male versus female. There's going to be different levels of reasonableness. 38-year-old female versus a 38-year-old male. For a super in shape former quarterback versus a not so in shape 32-year-old heavyset man using a cane. The reasonableness is 2 factors. It's outside looking in, and then what the person actually believed. Kind of get a little bit weird at trial, but that is it. There's 2 prongs to reasonableness. Factor 2, escalation. Sanchez was the aggressor from the start. He trespassed, he blocked, he followed, he shoved. There's no evidence yet that PT was in any way, shape, or form the aggressor, merely there trying to do his job, collecting used cooking oil. Factor 3, PT attempted to retreat. Now, you don't have to retreat in Indiana. There's no rule to do that. But he did try to do that. And that shows that he is not the aggressor and he's trying to de-escalate it. By trying to walk away, it gives his self-defense argument much more strength. Again, you don't have to walk away in Indiana, but I know that for a fact. I know these prosecutors. I talk to these prosecutors. I've done self-defense cases with these prosecutors. I defended a murder case with these prosecutors. I know for a fact they use the analysis of walking away and whether or not to charge someone as the victim or the aggressor. Factor 4, progressive force. PT did not immediately go for the knife. He used pepper spray first, and when that failed, he was left with what he reasonably believed was his last option. The big takeaway for you, when you put it all together, the prosecutor did not see a criminal. They saw a 69-year-old man who was cornered by an intoxicated, aggressive younger man, and he defended himself. The lesson here is critical. Self-defense is not just about the moment of the fight. It's about the totality of the circumstances. Your actions before the use of force matter immensely. Did you try to leave? Were you the aggressor? Was the force you used proportional to the threat you reasonably faced? In PT's case, the answer to all those questions pointed to justifiable self-defense. For Marc Sanchez, his actions that night led him from a bar to a hospital bed and ultimately to the courtroom as a criminal defendant. Now, I want to talk to you real quickly. Marc Sanchez is innocent until proven guilty. We have one piece of evidence, the police report. That's it. I haven't seen the video. Marc Sanchez, when he was interviewed at the hospital, he did not remember anything because full of holes. He was critically injured. We've only got one piece of the story. He is innocent until proven guilty. And I believe that in my heart of hearts. And a police report, that's not evidence. I'm just telling you what the police have presented so far. I also want to say another thing. PT, he's 69 years old. And I can tell you something right now. He's smart. How do I know that? Because when the police interviewed him, asking about what happened, he told the police, I was in fear of my life. I thought he was going to kill me. Those are the magic words. And then shut up. Don't say anything else until you talk to a lawyer. So PT, if you're watching this, don't say nothing else until you talk to a lawyer. You're already ahead of the game. Don't consider yourself clear just yet. These police and prosecutors, sometimes they come back at you. I want to remind everybody, the law is complicated and your freedom is too important to leave it to chance. If you've been charged with a crime here in the great state of Indiana, give us a call, 317-632-3642. We would love to talk to you about your options. If you've watched this far, leave me a comment. If you agree with me, let me know. Hey, Mark's right on the money. If you disagree, write that out too. I know some of you are going to be making some comments about this retreating. Again, don't have to retreat, but the fact that PT tried to retreat, that helped him not get criminal charges in this case. And let's not forget, he stabbed the man multiple times. He's very lucky he's not charged with a crime. He's very lucky he's not further hurt. And I don't want anyone to get hurt doing their job. Can you imagine getting hurt by a former professional quarterback just trying to pick up some used cooking oil? That's insane. Most importantly, I want to remind everybody to always plead the fifth.